It really sounds like it's coming from that way to me. I'm gonna turn my head.
The skinwalker?
You think?
That was not normal noise.
The deep wilderness often hides terrifying secrets we are never truly prepared to face. Imagine a chilling camping encounter with a silent woman standing chest-deep in pitch-black water or mysterious gunshots, slowly hunting down your freezing off-grid tent. When absolute isolation suddenly turns into a nightmare, how will you survive the night? On August 9th, 2026, the crew from Yoda Wild Collective tackled a rugged alpine trail on Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada. Known for Toyota off-road adventures and trail repairs, they set out to reach a remote mountain lake, but the trip soon became far more unpredictable. The journey began beside a river where the group packed up camp and headed toward the trail. Almost immediately, the terrain began testing the vehicles with a series of large, dry rock steps. Dylan's pickup lost traction on a slippery rock. Then came a sharp crack and the truck suddenly stopped moving properly.
Uh-oh.
That's when it starts to chew up, and then you end up catching traction and you break apart.
Hey?
Axle shaft.
Rear?
Yeah.
No. Well, you had drive on the right rear, so probably a shaft.
The group discovered that the rear axle shaft had broken. Because the truck used a semi-floating rear axle, the failure also carried the risk of the wheel coming loose. Far from help, and with only one bar of phone service, they were suddenly stuck with a disabled vehicle.
Dill's got a broken axle, but we're getting one delivered out here to the bottom of the trail. It came down to this. With only one bar of service, we made a strategic phone call. Andy's mom didn't hesitate. She loaded up the axle and spent the next 3 hours driving to the trailhead so we could meet her.
Once it was moving again, they continued deeper into the mountains. But the farther they climbed, the less forgiving the trail became. Some sections leaned at angles approaching 30 degrees. Thick fog reduced visibility, temperatures dropped, and the rocks became increasingly slippery. On one narrow rock climb, the 4Runner leaned too far and tipped onto its side, but the group reacted quickly and pulled it upright before continuing.
You can't park there.
Oh my gosh, this guy's Spider-Man. I think he's done this before, hey? The crunching. Woo.
The group finally reached the Alpine Lake at around 9 p.m. Heavy fog blocked the view they had hoped to see, so they set up camp-cooked steaks and spent the night in the rain. By the next morning, the wet conditions had made the original route too slippery to safely descend, so the group chose another way down. The vehicles moved slowly through the uneven trail, where every change in angle shifted their weight. Then one crossing pushed a vehicle beyond the point where the driver could recover it. Nick's 4Runner suddenly lost balance. The vehicle rolled completely onto its roof and began sliding down the slope. For several frightening moments, there was nothing to stop its movement. Then a small tree caught the vehicle and finally brought it to a halt.
Holy fuck!
Well, that went sideways real quick. When something like this happens, the only thing that matters at first is making sure that everyone's okay. Once we knew everyone had walked away unhurt, it was time to come up with a plan. With the 4Runner resting on its roof and sliding towards the embankment resting on a small tree, we needed to act fast.
Fortunately, no one was injured. But the danger was not over because the 4Runner was still sitting on the steep slope and could potentially move again. The group immediately worked together using winch lines from 2 other vehicles and nearby trees as anchor points. Slowly, they pulled the damaged Toyota back onto its wheels.
Want me to try to you?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna try and put some big rocks in front of my tires too.
I don't know if you're up to it, but you can pull forward and put your bumper against that tree, and that'll stop you. Yep.
Yeah, I'll check.
How strong is
It's
this
gonna be a
bumper?
big pull, so.
Yeah.
We're on recovery mode once again. So we got it braced up against the tree here, and we got a big pull here. And with a few small adjustments, the 4Runner finally went back onto all 4 tires.
She is munched.
The rollover had badly damaged the windshield hood and roof. The crew hammered the hood back into shape, and despite spending around half an hour upside down, the 22R engine started again. With the 4Runner badly damaged, the group carefully continued down the trail. Eventually, all 4 vehicles reached the main road safely. Viewers praised the group's teamwork during the recovery, while others suggested lower tire pressure might have improved traction on the rocks. Do you think their teamwork prevented the situation from becoming much worse? On May 1st, 2026, a creator named Fabio uploaded a frightening video to his YouTube channel Manaslu Maniac. The footage followed Fabio and his friends Toby and Benny as they traveled into Austria's rugged Stubaier Alps for a demanding high-altitude trek. Their goal was to reach the summit of a massive 2,700-meter peak as part of a well-known mountain challenge. But as the group continued higher, the expedition suddenly became far more dangerous than they had expected.
Du stirbst nicht hier. Du stirbst nicht hier. Viele Leute werden hier sterben, du nicht. Hilf mir, hilf mir. Hilf mir! Ihr müsst jetzt! Ihr müsst! Ihr müsst! Nein, der geht nicht! Ich los, los, los!
Shortly before the situation turned critical, the team arrived at the most difficult section of the climb. Ahead of them was a steep and highly exposed passage covered with loose, unstable rock. They stopped near the edge and carefully considered their options, questioning whether they should attempt the crossing or look for another route. Eventually, they chose to continue and slowly began making their way across the ledge. As Fabio moved through the dangerous section, however, the conditions quickly became worse. Rocks he tried to use for support broke apart in his hands, while other possible handholds gave way as soon as he touched them. Panic began to build as Fabio realized he was trapped above a sheer drop with no obvious way forward.
Das kriegen wir nicht hin. Das geht nicht nach unten. Ja, willst du noch mehr Druck machen? Noch mehr? Oder hast du's? Fuck, Alter. Okay, warte. Alles lose, Mann! Warum ist da auch lose? Kann ich hier nichts reingreifen, Mann! Okay, warte.
His strength was fading, and he desperately searched for anything solid enough to support his weight. But the rock continued crumbling between his fingers. Nearby, Toby and Benny tried to guide him toward safety, urgently directing him toward possible places to move and telling him where he might position his feet. With almost nothing stable left to hold on to, the situation reached its most dangerous moment. Fabio suddenly lost his footing and began sliding down the steep slope.
Du stirbst nicht hier. Du stirbst nicht hier. Viele Leute werden hier sterben, du nicht. Hilf mir, hilf mir. Hilf mir! Ihr müsst jetzt! Ihr müsst! Nein, der geht nicht! Ich los, los, los! Ihr müsst! Ich bin in der Zone.
du da machst.
Beruhig dich, Fabio, beruhig dich.
Deswegen mache ich kein Futter.
The instant he lost control, his friends reacted and managed to pull him back before he fell farther. Once Fabio was safely on solid ground again, the seriousness of what had just happened became clear. His legs shook from the rush of adrenaline as he sat down, treated his scrapes, and was bandaged while trying to process how close the accident had come to becoming fatal. After an experience like that, turning around would have been completely understandable. Instead, only about 30 minutes after the near-fatal incident, the group made the surprising decision to continue the expedition. Despite the shock of what had happened, they pushed onward and eventually completed the climb to the summit. In moments like this, survival instinct and adrenaline can narrow your focus to one goal: staying alive. Loose mountain rock can fail without warning, making every move dangerous. Would you have continued toward the summit after surviving a fall that close? Or would that moment have convinced you to turn back? In June 2026, Full Draw Outdoors uploaded a disturbing video to TikTok that quickly unsettled millions of viewers online. The channel is run by an experienced outdoorsman who regularly takes his audience into remote wilderness areas, often while hunting invasive Burmese pythons and alligators around the Florida Everglades. On this particular night, he and his crew were on the water for what was supposed to be a normal bow fishing trip. They had a simple plan and expected a quiet night in a remote, completely dark area near a boat ramp. Then something unusual caught their attention. As the group moved through the dark water, they noticed a figure near the shoreline. It was not an alligator or any of the wildlife they were familiar with seeing in the area. Instead, they saw a woman standing chest deep in the lake, completely still and surrounded by darkness. The footage immediately raised questions online. Even by Florida standards, seeing someone standing that deep in dark water late at night was extremely unusual. For people familiar with the Everglades and surrounding areas, entering the water after dark can already seem dangerous because of the wildlife commonly associated with the region. The video quickly spread across social media, and viewers began offering theories about what they were seeing. Some connected the strange scene to local legends or paranormal possibilities. Others thought it could simply be an elaborate prank. One theory, however, attracted far more attention than the others. Some viewers became convinced that the woman might be connected to a widely discussed missing person case in Kansas, involving a mother who had recently disappeared with her 6-week-old baby.
A lot of people have been asking about the lady in the lake. Several people asked if it was in Arkansas or Kansas, either or. I did let them know that it wasn't out there. We didn't notice anybody else with her. She didn't have a dog or anything. And a lot of people were asking, wondering if we reached out to her and, make sure she was okay. And yes, we did. So we did ask her if she was okay, if she needed any help. But she never replied back to us anything. All she did was just slowly turn her away from us. We tried to help her out. She didn't care to talk to us or anything. So we let her be.
As rumors continued to spread and concern increased, the creator later uploaded a follow-up video to explain what had actually happened. According to him, the crew had already tried calling out to the woman several times before they began recording. She never answered or acknowledged them. Instead, she slowly turned away and continued facing into the darkness. The group also checked the nearby shoreline, but could not see any tents, campfires, or other people in the area. That behavior led viewers to consider more realistic explanations. Some suggested she might have been experiencing a serious mental health episode, severe intoxication, confusion, or possibly sleepwalking. Whatever the cause, her complete lack of response made the situation even more unsettling. As the boat continued toward the ramp, the crew watched her remain almost completely motionless in the water for roughly another 10 minutes. Eventually, the darkness made it impossible to see her anymore. The creator later responded to another major concern from viewers. He explained that despite the area's reputation, there were no alligators in that particular body of water. Even without that danger, the image of a silent person standing alone in a dark lake remained deeply disturbing. For the crew and millions of people who later watched the footage, it became one of the strangest encounters they had ever seen caught on camera. What would you have done if you found someone silently standing in dark water at night? On October 26, 2022, the YouTube channel Creepy Outdoors shared footage that left thousands of viewers searching for answers. In the video, the creator traveled deep into dense wilderness for a solo night hike far away from civilization. After reaching the area, he set up a simple campsite with a small tent and a campfire. He then took his camera and flashlight and began exploring the surrounding woods in complete darkness. At first, the forest sounded normal. Distant wildlife calls and other natural noises echoed between the trees as he continued farther from camp. But the deeper he went, the more the atmosphere changed. Without warning, every sound around him seemed to disappear. In the sudden silence, something happened before he had time to understand what was going on.
I'm pretty sure camp is back this way. Should have brought a GPS. I'm not sure if you guys ever seen the Blair Witch Project, but damn, this is just giving me Blair Witch Project vibes. Wow. This is awesome. Well, at least it'll be a lot easier to walk through here. Man, this place is so lonely. Imagine just being lost out here. Oh. Oh, hi. What the hell? I need to get out of here. Oh boy. Okay. That was fucking creepy. I need to get out of here. Talking about Witch Blair Project.
A strange voice came from somewhere in the darkness. The sound immediately terrified him. Hearing what appeared to be a woman's voice in such an isolated place made little sense. There were no nearby homes, roads, or other people that he knew of, and he had already explored these same woods several times before without experiencing anything similar. His campsite was still some distance away, leaving him with only one option. He quickly moved back through the trees, hoping that whoever had called out was not following behind him.
Well, if that is not the definition of creepy, then I don't know what it means. And then the creepiest, and I mean fucking voice, of what I would imagine a witch to sound like, just says, "I see you." Huh? I'm either extremely unlucky or very fortunate to have recorded this. Another down tree. Dead forest it is. I smell burnt wood. My camp should be near here. I sure hope so. What the hell? That must be a deer stand. It's pretty damn old. I know I sound like a broken record right now, but damn it. I need to find camp. How far did I walk back? I'm sorry guys, that voice absolutely threw me off and my sense of direction. I hope you don't blame me for getting the fuck out of there. Fuck, I'm completely disoriented right now.
As he rushed through the forest, fear began affecting his sense of direction. For several stressful minutes, he wandered through the darkness and realized he had become completely disoriented. Roughly 10 minutes later, he finally reached a trail he recognized. From there, he was able to find his way back to camp. Once he arrived, he did not stay any longer. He quickly packed his equipment and left the woods entirely. The recording later sparked several theories about what may have happened. The voice sounded like a woman, but there was no clear explanation for who she was or why she was apparently alone so far from civilization. In darkness, fear and disorientation can make it difficult to judge where a sound is coming from or how far away it is. Do you think someone was nearby, or could the voice have traveled from much farther away? In August 2024, a disturbing video appeared on the YouTube channel Riley Bowen Fishing and quickly spread across the internet. Riley usually shares fishing trips and outdoor adventures from different parts of the United States, but this particular outing attracted attention for a completely different reason. That day, Riley and several friends were fishing from a boat in a remote stretch of water deep in the Kentucky backwoods. They expected nothing more than a calm day of fishing, and at first, everything seemed completely normal. That changed when a sharp, high-pitched scream suddenly came from the tree line.
Oh, you alright? Bless you! The skinwalker? You think? That was not a normal noise.
At first, the group reacted with confusion and nervous laughter. They tried to make light of the situation, even joking about a skinwalker while attempting to figure out what they had heard. But the sound continued, and the mood on the boat quickly changed.
I'm just saying.
You got me thinking.
Well, that ain't no sneeze. We'll be alright. It's daytime. They don't come out during the daytime. I did just get chilled down my leg. Oh my gosh.
What is that?
I don't know. I've never heard that noise in my life. That's scary.
The repeated screams seemed to come from somewhere along the shoreline. Riley and his friends searched for a logical explanation, considering whether it might be a bird, another animal, a woman in trouble, or someone hiding in the woods and trying to scare them. None of those ideas immediately seemed convincing. When the sound first occurred, Riley had even assumed their friend Caden had sneezed while speaking over the phone. Caden quickly confirmed that he had made no such noise. With no clear explanation and the group realizing how isolated they were, their concern grew. They stopped focusing on fishing and began trying to locate the source of the screams. Then they noticed movement near the shoreline.
I'm hoping that you can hear this.
Hear what?
There's something screaming in the woods.
Did you see that?
Like we stopped fishing and they're trying to look at this thing.
I saw something move over there.
We're not. Look up. We're far away from the shore.
How is it all the way over there now?
Dude, what is that? It's cooking. It just moved like 200 yards. It was just standing in one spot screaming over and over and over.
It was over there and now it's way over there.
Is it a bird? Like a lady fake sneezing. Like just screaming.
Go away from it. Go away.
I'm not going towards that. Listen, I understand I'm a white person, but I ain't doing that. So maybe we'll heard a little skinwalker action. I was alarmed. I've never seen anything change locations in 200 yards faster than I just heard that. Just scream sneezing like over and over. So I said, bless you, and then it was 200 yards away, and I was like, oh crap, that's not a woman.
Whatever was moving appeared to cover nearly 200 yards in only a matter of seconds. The speed immediately alarmed them, and Riley began moving the boat farther into open water. The group later described seeing a dark figure moving rapidly through the thick trees while the strange, almost human-sounding cries continued nearby. The combination of the screams and the apparent speed of the figure left everyone on the boat shaken. After the footage went viral, viewers offered several possible explanations. Skeptics suggested local wildlife, noting that screech owls, foxes, and bobcats can produce calls that sound surprisingly similar to human screams. Others thought it might have been a person living in the woods or someone deliberately trying to frighten the group. More unusual theories also appeared. Some viewers believed the figure might have been a cryptid or even a skinwalker, especially because of how quickly it seemed to move through roughly 200 yards of dense vegetation. Some animals can produce calls that sound remarkably human, while darkness can distort where movement and sound seem to originate. What do you think Riley's group encountered ordinary wildlife, a person, or something harder to explain? On February 12, 2021, unsettling footage appeared on the YouTube channel Arnold Outdoors and left many viewers deeply disturbed. The video followed Arnold and his friend as they traveled miles away from civilization into the snowy, freezing wilderness near Bend, Oregon. They were prepared for the conditions and planned to spend the night off-road in the high desert, relaxing under the stars. It was the kind of trip they had completed many times before. But once darkness settled over the remote landscape, their quiet escape began to turn into something far more dangerous.
It really sounds like it's coming from that way to me. I'm gonna turn my head. I feel like we should at least once. Yeah. Just one shot. So they can't pinpoint us, but they know we're here. I'll shoot Maggie.
Oh, you got an extra round? Don't shoot
I have one extra silver tip.
No, don't do that.
Vehicle.
It sounds like they're moving. Let's turn that off.
Yeah, go. Yeah. You want to get
it? You can do it.
Hooting and hollering and shooting. It's teenagers hooting and hollering. Kill the lights. They might shoot at us.
Hours earlier, the two had driven deeper into the remote trails near Bend while searching for a suitable place to camp. Night had already fallen and snowy conditions were becoming heavier, but they still had not found the right location. They continued farther into the mountains and eventually stopped in the dark wilderness to inspect a possible campsite. While looking toward the tree line, they noticed unusual lights moving through the woods. The lights appeared to belong to several people, and those figures seemed to be moving in their direction.
Still trying to find a spot. We found another little off-road, offshoot road.
You can't even see nothing. You can see the glow of Bend, I think, back up.
And over there you can see one lone little, or two actually.
Yeah, you can't see shit.
Like maybe a fire,
possibly
2 or 3 miles off, and another little light way off.
But yeah, we're not going to know what this place even looks like till tomorrow's. All right, so we got to leave. There's creepy-ass people with red headlamps coming towards us out of the woods. Back up a little.
That's what I'm doing, man.
They separated from each other.
There's 2 people with red headlamps on and 2 people with bright headlamps on.
Yeah.
And you can see them moving. We can see silhouettes of what little bit of light's out here. And you can tell by the way they were bobbing that it was clearly people.
And they were walking towards us.
Can't see very well.
But you can spot critters and stuff. I don't know. They were splitting up and heading down towards us, so nope, we're out of here. We'll find somewhere else. So.
Yeah, they were spreading out and heading towards us. It was pretty freaky.
Uncomfortable with what they were seeing, Arnold and his friend decided not to stay. They left the area and drove farther into the high desert, hoping to find another place where they could spend the night without being disturbed. Eventually, they reached a secluded off-road location surrounded by untouched snow. There were no obvious signs that anyone else was nearby, and for a while the area felt safe. By 11:30 p.m., temperatures had fallen below freezing. The 2 men were inside their shelter and beginning to relax beside the fire when sudden gunshots echoed through the darkness.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, kinda.
You hear that?
Yeah, what was that, a gunshot?
Gunshot or a vehicle? Vehicle. Or Bigfoot's fucking screaming. Sound like a vehicle on a gravel road.
Probably caught it on the camera.
Hopefully that was freaky sounding.
Ears up, yeah. Almost sound like gunshots.
It did almost sound like gunshots echoing. But there's lots of people out here.
Definitely a gunshot.
Close.
Probably within fucking half a
mile. Sounds like a 22, and it sounds like it's coming from that way.
Sounds like it's coming from behind you.
It's 11:30. Shooting guns off before they go to bed or something.
Scare all the coyotes off.
Sounded like a 22 to me.
Kinda, yeah.
Cracky, snappy.
Or a handgun.
Yeah.
We're nice and peaceful here.
With those freaks. It really sounds like it's coming from that way to me. I'm gonna turn my head.
At first, they tried to explain the sounds logically. They considered the possibility that someone was target shooting farther away, and that a faint engine noise might simply be coming from a vehicle traveling somewhere beyond the trees. But the sounds did not stay distant. Within minutes, the gunshots seemed noticeably closer. At the same time, the faint engine noise grew into the loud roar of a vehicle moving directly along the trail toward their campsite. Realizing that someone was approaching through the darkness, Arnold and his friend immediately became alert and reached for their firearms.
I'm not going to shoot. Unless I show you.
10-22.
Hang on.
I feel like we should at least once. Yeah. Just one shot. So they can't pinpoint us, but they know we're here.
Oh, you got an extra round? Don't shoot.
I have one extra silver tip.
No, don't do that. Let's turn that off.
Yeah, go. Yeah. You want to get it?
You can do it.
Yeah, that sounded like a vehicle to me. Revving up. Wow.
Oh.
They're right fucking there, dude.
They're like driving around shooting.
Kill it and get low. For real.
They quickly shut down the lights around their rig and moved into cover, trying to make the campsite as difficult to see as possible. Lying in the snow with their weapons ready, they waited and hoped the approaching vehicle would continue past them. For a moment, it seemed as though the danger might move away. Then they remembered one thing they could not hide. Their campfire was still burning. The vehicle slowed as it came closer, and the people inside appeared to notice the glow of the fire through the trees. The realization that they had been spotted made the situation even more tense.
Get low, for real. It's like, fire, don't fire, god dang, right there. I'm pretty sure he said, fire. The one dude said, where? And then he said, god dang, right there. Like they saw our fire.
Fucking rednecks, dude.
We got some redneck hill folk driving down.
They were shooting a 22 though.
Yeah. If
We got a lot of firepower here.
That's freaky, man. If someone was out here sleeping or whatever, man, it's 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
After what seemed like an extremely long wait, the truck finally continued down the trail and disappeared into the darkness. The engine noise and gunshots gradually faded farther away. The immediate danger appeared to be over, but Arnold and his friend were no longer able to relax. With temperatures well below freezing, they remained inside their shelter on high alert, keeping their weapons nearby and watching the tree line until morning. When daylight arrived, the snow showed evidence of how close the vehicle had come. Deep tire tracks ran directly past their campsite, and empty shell casings were scattered along the trail. Looking back, the encounter showed just how easily the situation could have ended differently. In remote darkness, gunshots and engines can be difficult to judge by sound alone, but the tire tracks and shell casings confirmed the danger was nearby. Would you have stayed until morning or packed up and left immediately? That's all for tonight's video. Which encounter gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below. Got your own experience? We want to hear it. And whatever you do, don't miss what's coming next.